everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as He Sweet, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time, I'm looking at UQ Holder, Chapter 25, Take Hold of the World. And this is kind of the climax of the chapter, as it were, as we see the Magia Ebraria, that was a mouthful, taking hold of young Toda, and he's about to smash in the head of his opponent when all of a sudden he basically pulls back and we see him fighting against kind of the dark power that's in him, and he basically refuses to let it take control of him and spares Kaito. And Kaito, is ready to die, actually looking forward to it, and then kind of impressed that he pulls back at the last minute, and he's like, alright, I'm like beat up, but I'm pretty good, and you're messed up, and now you just gave away your coolest power? Alright, we'll settle this real way with arm wrestling. Kind of bringing the story full circle. And before that happens, this old guy and Nagumo and Karen basically have a little fight. And I gotta say, what did this guy do the whole chapter? He was definitely narrator coon. For all they built him up as this like awesome swordsman and immortal killer. He basically was like, man, we're still going to get those immortals. Then he's like, those are so immortals. Then he's like, here's my story about immortals and this magical power. Oh, and Nagima, he was the evilest bastard who ever did evil. Even though in the story I tell, he seemed like a perfectly nice guy. But he's so evil, dude. By the way, I'm burning down orphanages. But he's so evil. And he's like, you're Karen, and this is your backstory. And, what do you call it? This is the history of the, 100 Years War. And here's the story about a wine I happen to drink. Are you actually going to use that sword and fight anybody? Or, is your, the pen is mightier than the sword. So obviously, long exposition is the most powerful weapon of all. But yeah, so Karen basically was like, shut up, old guy. See, I knew this guy was right. Now just go run along. I don't know, you could draw your sword and do something about it. But you're not going to. You're just going to tell a story at the end of this. So, they have the prerequisite, little bit of talking. And, as they're wrestling, it kind of goes a little either way. They have why are you throwing your wife away for evil? And he's like, I'm throwing my life away, to know the true path of a warrior and a man. Meh, 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 meh. But he can basically see, that Toda's totally caught up with him, and that, his impressiveness wasn't how quickly he learned or that he could fight back his dark powers, but, even more than all of that, it's a greater strength, and, he does the taking control of the world, like he said, is like the ideal of the Flash step, and beats this guy. So, definitely, kind of how we saw. Super cheesy, but, definitely a super cheesy but proper end to this fight. Like I said, I can't see Nagumo totally whipping out some cool power. I assume he's going to basically run away to, now that two of his three companions are beat, and, go up to learn more exposition and report back to his masters. But essentially, this arc is over. I'm kind of curious to see what happens to Kaito. Is he gonna join up as a reoccurring character, or is he gonna be is he just gonna leave and be a reoccurring character? Maybe come back to train Toda every once in a while, or you know have his back on occasion, but definitely is going to see the wrongs of his ways. But yeah, unless there's some later, one guy above them that's going to pop up, this chapter pretty much seems wrapped up. It'll just be, um, you know, crowd control, putting out the fires, seeing how everybody's okay, and kind of what happens to Kaido after this. Because man, I really thought Nagumo was gonna have like some cool fight, but yeah, fun little end. Glad to see that the arm wrestling thing was totally not worthless, but we saw how it goes, and that's pretty much the end of the chapter. And yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see, what they do with Kaido, what Koromaru takes away from all of this, and generally what happens in general, and see what seeds they set for the next arc. But I don't think we're going to see, seeds for the next arc for a little bit. I think we have to do a chapter 2 resolution before we get that. Probably like in 2 or 3 chapters, probably at the end, we'll get the next plot hook. But for now, it's probably just going to be, some winding down and some comedy. But solid chapter. Nothing spectacular, but nothing really wrong with it. So I will see you guys next time.